and welcome to Geobuiz. We're here at Geobuiz Summit catching up with Bob Marshall from Earth Networks. Thanks, Bob. Thanks for joining us on Geobuiz.
It's absolutely great to be here. It's been a fun day.
Tell us about Earth Networks and why weather is so important for Earth Networks.
Yeah, so obviously, Earth Networks, our mission and vision is to take the pulse of the planet. And obviously, weather and climate are something that impact each of us as individuals, number one. So we use that information to plan our day every day, how we're going to commute to work, whether we're going to play soccer this evening with our kids, or what we're going to do. And then beyond the individual, businesses, almost every sector of the economy is impacted by weather and climate information, and businesses can really improve their bottom line if they know weather information more precisely in both space and time.
But how do you get all weather information? Because there are a multitude of avenues where you must be getting from this weather data. How do you manage this?
You know, we live in really the golden age of data, I would say. So there's a ton of weather information that is generated by the federal government. So NASA and NOAA, with satellites and radars and sensors, collect a lot of information. And they make that information available publicly, and we collect all of that. But then we also operate uniquely our own proprietary sensor network. So we actually have the largest weather and climate sensor networks in the world. So we have nearly 10,000 stations set up around the world that are connected to the internet. These are sensors that are measuring the weather, temperatures and winds and pressures and lightning and even greenhouse gases. And all of those sensors are connected to the internet and streaming us data back every second of the day from all over the world. And we put all that data together with the data that we get available publicly, and then turn it into products and services and intelligence for our customers.
That's wonderful to know that Earth Networks has the largest weather sensor network across the world. And that gives me a question, that makes me ask a question, especially in the developing countries where there is very little or sparse weather data, but there is a lot of need for governments and other organizations, especially around disaster times and because of the climate change aspects of it. Are you partnering with various government organizations to provide these kind of weather advisories?
Globally, you know, there's a huge need in developing countries. They really lack for good quality weather information, and with global warming and climate change, they're really being challenged. They're being impacted by severe weather much more frequently, floods and rains and hail and events like that. And it's impacting not only their people, and there's lots of people dying around the world, but the businesses, the economies that they're trying to get up and running, energy grids and transportation and things like that, are hugely impacted by the severe weather. And they really don't have much infrastructure in place. So there's been a lot of work over the last couple decades, actually 2 or 3 decades, by people like the World Bank and the United Nations that have tried to support these developing countries with a lot of resources to put in weather radars and things like that. But it really hasn't worked. I mean, the radars are complicated technology, they're very expensive, and the countries don't have the capacity to keep them running and producing good data. And we've come up with a great technology, a new technology where we can just connect our sensors right to a cell tower. And one of the things that's really expanding in the developing world is cellular technology. Everybody's got a cell phone almost now. And so we can just plug our sensors right into the cell towers where you have reliable power and communications, stream that data back, and provide much of the same benefit as you can get from, say, a weather radar at a tiny fraction of the cost.
Would you like to cite an example of how Earth Networks have really made a difference in any of these developing countries?
If you look at what we're doing, I would cite a couple examples. I mean, in Brazil, we have a big network monitoring total lightning and storms in Brazil, but probably one of the things I'm most proud of is our public-private partnerships in Africa. So we're partnering with the United Nations Development Program, and then the local countries. Say West Africa, we're working with Guinea and Liberia, and then Malawi over on the east side. And these are countries that really don't have very much, but we're able to go in and partner not only with the UN, but with the local governing bodies in the governments locally, and install and operate the sensor networks and deliver warnings that are nearly on par with the best warnings in the world that are generated by the U.S. National Weather Service. So it's really an amazing thing that we're able to go in and do that in a country that has very little infrastructure, and it has a huge impact because you're literally saving lives. I mean, if you can look at Lake Victoria, the big lake on the eastern side of Africa, and the stats, I think, show that nearly 5,000 people every year die on that lake because you have fishermen that go out to try to make a living and support their families by fishing, and storms come up when they're out on very small boats and they capsize and drown. It's a terrible situation, but they have no idea that the storms are coming. And when we put it in our networks, we're actually going to be able to deliver the warnings that are going to save lives in many cases.
You're also providing enterprise-wide solutions with respect to weather. Are there any specific sectors that you are catering to?
On the commercial side, really the energy sector is probably number one for us. I mean, obviously, I think we all kind of have a good sense that weather drives a huge amount of demand on the grid. So, on a hot summer afternoon or a very cold winter day, everybody's got their heaters or their air conditioners running. That generates a huge load on the grid, lots of demand for energy and electricity. And that makes the weather information critically important. But beyond the weather information, we're now collecting the data from connected thermostats, connected smart meters in the homes, and we marry that information together. So we take the weather data from just outside your home, from the sensor that we have down the street, marry it up with the thermostat data, the smart meter data. We produce a unique thermodynamic model of your home so we can understand how it's trying to deal with the weather. Is it got leaky windows and doors, good insulation, an efficient HVAC system or not? We take that intelligence and then automatically send down instructions to the thermostat every day to better help the thermostat not only keep you comfortable, but save the maximum amount of energy you can. And the stats are pretty cool. We're showing like 16.5% energy savings, and that's third-party verified data. And that's a huge amount of money, not only for the consumer, but then it's a huge amount of CO2 savings and things for the climate.
Tell us about this WeatherBug.
Yeah, so WeatherBug is our consumer brand, and WeatherBug, so we actually have on our, really the focus today is on the mobile phone. So we've got about 20 million consumers that use the WeatherBug brand on a monthly basis. Most of those are now on the mobile phone, so if you can download the WeatherBug app, it's free. And, so that's advertising supported. Huge engagement numbers. So weather is like always the number one app on the phone. When you have a weather app, you're using it every day. You're checking in many cases multiple times a day. And we've got a weather station right down the street from where you live. So we're able to provide the most local, accurate weather information available, the best storm warnings. So when there's a storm coming your way and you really want to know and you want to protect your kids and family. So that's really what WeatherBug is about. And it's a big brand, and we do huge numbers. It's 20 million consumers every month, and they check the app like nearly 200 times a month usually. So it's a big data thing too.
Okay, interesting. So what are the next plans in terms of providing weather advisories or weather analytics from Earth Networks?
I mean, I think where we're focused now is really on the connected home. I mean, taking the weather intelligence that we already have. But really our core competency in the company beyond weather is collecting data from sensors and doing signal processing and trying to find the signal in the noise, right? You have this big noise of data coming from all these different sources, weather stations and satellites and radars, thermostats and smart meters and connected home security sensors. And you have this sea of big data, but how can we turn that into intelligence to really maximize the energy efficiency, protect the grid, keep people comfortable and things like that. And so that's where we're really focused is leveraging our core competency of collecting massive amounts of data and turning it into intelligence for our customers.
Okay. How important or how key location is playing a role in whether it is WeatherBug app or whether it is in terms of providing smart solutions for an Internet of Things based scenario?
So we want to know location, obviously, for the consumer. So some of our biggest customers for WeatherBug app are soccer coaches and baseball coaches and people that are out in the field. And they need to know they're in danger when lightning is within 10 miles of their location. And that means their location. So it's as soon as lightning is within 10 miles of your phone, when you have the WeatherBug app, you can see that you need to take cover. So that location is critically important. And then I think when you look at even the home and building, the connected home and building environment, the address and the location of the home is important, but there's information in there about individual appliances and HVAC systems and leaky windows and doors that we can really help the homeowner. So it's really getting, the more granular you can get the information, the more precise we can be around providing intelligence for how you can save energy in the home. So it really is all about location and all about precision in both time and space.
Thank you so much, Bob, for letting us know about Earth networks and how location is playing a key role in weather information and services. Thank you.